Okay, I am back. For those that's just now getting to part two, you want to go back and listen to part one. Very important, so you can get the full teaching of what I'm trying to show you while we all holler, I don't have the spirit of fear. But once you look at taking the time, chilling when you get a chance at night or while you're riding in the car, put this music on that I have. It is by Worship Piano. It is the atmosphere of his presence. It's instrumental. And as I meditated today, I decided to go ahead and do this because we're going to be talking about getting prepared tomorrow to get you to understand that you need to do the first stage for your fly, yourself. First, love yourself. We're going to do the 21 day, not 21 day, 23-day wilderness season because a lot of us may be facing this wilderness season, and I'm giving this free interactive guide for those who want to really get an understanding how to break these things that's in your way. But let's jump in here really quick because I'm talking about the anticipatory and anxiety type of fear. That I think it's important that you realize that God is talking to us and those that may be in your family or your children or maybe in your past that you may feel shame and don't want anybody to know. But this anxiety or this anticipatory type of fear is the fear of what might happen. Okay, and this is normal. What if I fall? That was my situation I talked about in part one, and I did fall. And what if I get hurt? And what if I don't recover? What if I don't have enough? That spirit of scarcity. This is called anticipatory anxiety. The mind starts living, in this possibility of something, or future danger kind of sense will want you to think. But when you think about this, the first thing you think, uh, did I fear the falling, or did this fear of falling go and happen because I had it? It did happen. And this is an honest question you should be asking yourself and God. But the truth is, fear itself does not, all of a sudden do some kind of demonic thing that causes things to happen. But that fear of the thing can affect how the body functions behind what you're thinking. Okay. So fear can cause your muscle tensions. And I believe that's what happened to me. I got off balance because I didn't get to focus on the steps. I was thinking about or looking at something else. But the muscle tension, the stiffness, the hesitation, the overcorrecting myself in steps, my, like I said, my divided attention. I'm looking away, and some of us are rushing, then we have this shallow breathing that can do some things too. We can have a loss of balance from even panicking about a situation. For example, if a person is walking and you're thinking about the steps and you're thinking, don't fall, God help me, don't fall, don't fall. They may become stiff and distracted and they may miss a step like I did. And then we lose the balance. So we've lost our normal body rhythm from what we're steady thinking about. So that fear-based monitor, that was an interference, or you had an anxiety affecting kind of the coordination. So did fear manifest the fall all of a sudden? Was it a spirit that pushed me, or what happened? Not necessarily. But fear can interfere with confidence. It can interfere with your movement. So the fear of the thing, like I said, it can interfere your balance. It can interfere with your attention span, which mine did get off, especially in older adults, seasoned like myself, you know. So the thing that I want you to understand is there is a spiritual fear versus a fear of a matter or a thing. That's what I wanted to share with you today. So the fear of the matter, let me break that down. This is what you're saying. Am I afraid of something? Okay. For example, fear of water. Like I said, fear of rats and falling and pain and arguments, fear of facing somebody you got to address, or fear of poverty, scarcity, that you ain't gonna never have. So that's what you call objective. You got an objective type of focus fear. Okay. But the spirit of fear is what we all talking about all the time. Oh, you fighting the spirit of fear. There is a difference. This difference becomes mean that I live under fear. Okay. Some people live under fear because they was born with that anxiety from their bloodline. Their family had a spirit of anxiety and fear. We're gonna get into that in a minute. But that when you live under fear, these signs that you have fear with no clear reason. My mother had that anxiety. It was always just panicking, chest racing, and we didn't know what to do. She was panicking, we couldn't breathe and everything. We were just so scared that we was losing her, but she had anxiety. We didn't know what it was called back then. So the fear of no clear reason. She had a constant dread. That's because we didn't know that she had already had arguments with my dad before he even got home, and she knew she was gonna get beat up, and we are gonna have to run for our lives. So we later learned that's where that was coming from whenever she had an altercation with him. So when he came, she would always tell me, Sandra, get the kids together, get some sleeping clothes, get the bag, because we're going to have to run tonight. And that meant that she was going to throw some hot grits or some grease on him. So they let us know we're going to have to be everything in the car and ready to roll when she said run. We had to hit that back door and get out of there while she come out the back door running from him. I'm just telling the truth. Many people have a fear of these traumas, a fear of the worst case scenario, worst case thinking, tormenting thoughts, the inability to tell the truth about what you really need peace about, okay, that you don't have peace about. So the inability to trust even peace. You don't know to trust it. I never trust peace when my daddy came home because I didn't know what he was going to do to her next. When he got her in that room, we would hear things tearing up in there and she screaming. But the panic over the situation, being the oldest person at home, I often was panicking because I had to watch. I guess that's why I can see so good now. I could tell that my daddy was coming in with a rage and hell that he was going to do something to my mama. So the panic over everything, sleep disturbance by fear, didn't know if I could go completely to sleep because some nights we had to wake up and just run without any clothes packed. So there was a paralysis that was also trying to seep in from the spirit of fear as a child from the trauma. I had sleep disturbance by the fear. I had paralysis in decision making. Many of you are still there right now. You can't make it because the spirit of fear, you don't know what to say or what to do, but you keep on making decisions and they're not good because the spirit of fear is ruling. Don't make me preach. The fear that dominates your faith. That's a spirit of fear. That fear rules. That fear gives you behavior that you can't believe you're doing. This is more global and it is very controlling. Okay. And one of the worst ones I think in families and marriages today is the fear of lack. Okay. The fear of scarcity. And this has happened globally. And this is something very, very important that you got to know. And so this fear of lack or scarcity, that means what did we mean when we say my family is not going to have enough? Or scarcity is our family root. This is what happens in our family. This is why I'm here now. Sometimes people grow up hearing that we will never have enough, or we ain't gonna be able to do this or that. We're not gonna be able to pay that. Something bad is going to happen in your head that you're not gonna have it, or something is not gonna be enough, and that shame is gonna come. So something bad is coming. So that fear of scarcity of something coming, that you're not supposed to trust peace or somebody about a matter. And then you can lose everything that you hear that devil saying out of that spirit of fear. So mentally, this can become a scarcity mindset, or you have a chronic insecurity conditioning you to think that you're going to have lack. That fear of spending, you won't buy, you keep the old stuff, you need to get the new. You keep on hanging on to old things, hoarding, in a sense that you thinking I need you to keep this in case I run out. I know I'm talking to you. Been there. The fear of spending. People keep these empty bottles that ain't got but just a little drop of something in it, thinking at least I can have a drop left in case I don't have no money to buy no more. The devil crazy. I used to do that, and my daughter was doing it too. Throw these bottles away. Ain't nothing in it. It's over. It's done. The fear of spending that. You need to spend it. You need to spend it wisely. Don't spend it in fear. Don't hoard. Don't overwork. Don't overdo. Don't have this panic of these bills that's coming, because you know that if you don't, you're going to have the inability to rest. That's what fear does. That's what scarcity in the mind does. And of course, the fear that your blessing won't last long. That's one of the big ones in the Christendom and the faith populations. We figure, well, God bless me now. It ain't gonna last long. I don't know. I don't know if God gonna help me, let me keep that. Well, you said it. You say that I don't get God, but yet you say God gave it to you. He ain't gonna be no double-minded person. His yay and amen. So spiritually believers often describe this as fear that oppresses the trust in God. You get oppressed by what the Spirit is saying. So let's look at the fear of the Lord versus the spirit of fear. That's what I'm trying to get to. These are not the same thing, okay? The fear of the Lord means that you reverence his presence. That's why I'm praying, playing the music now, the atmosphere of his presence, to make sure that everything around me has holy fire, that I can speak to you with holy boldness to let you understand that the fear of the Lord is what's going to quench it all, because Jesus is Lord over everything and everybody. So I reverence the fear of the Lord. I have this awe to know that he is with me in the car, everywhere I go. No weapon, no word, no trick. They can even dig a ditch, but it ain't going to work. Listen to me. That means that I have a holy respect. I have the obedience to know that Jesus is Lord, and I believe him and not the devil. Proverbs 9 and 10 said, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So the spirit of fear is torment. That ain't God. Jesus is not a tormentor for you to be tormented by his presence. You ain't gonna have no dread. You ain't gonna have no bondage, is what the spirit of fear does. You're not gonna have no mental oppression and no intimidation. None of that. You know, the scripture tells you in 1 John 4 and 18, fear hath torment, right? That word torment matters because fear with torment is different from reverence. Why in the world would God give you that? You didn't think about assessing yourself on these things. I'm gonna give you a couple of questions before we get out of here on this subject, but I want to make sure that you understand personally for yourself what are these things that I'm speaking to you now is describing to you in regards to this matter. What are you thinking about regarding it? When I come back with part three, I want you to understand these two that I'm going to break down a little bit more for you so you can get an understanding, okay? So I'll be back to talk to you a little bit more in depth about these two, and I pray you share these that you already saw in this part one and part two. Thanks for listening so far. Please share the message. I'm praying on this side.